Elon Musk has just unleashed the most astonishing news about an amazing Soviet discovery on Venus, one that has been kept under wraps for decades. Something so mind-blowing took place that it might be the greatest secret ever concealed in the annals of space exploration. This hilarious twist of fate, where the truth remained locked away, could completely change how we see our universe. But before we unravel the true extent of this spectacular revelation, we must first journey back to a time when the Soviet Union dared to probe the inhospitable depths of our sister planet. The foundation of the Soviet Venus program was built during an era of intense Cold War rivalry, where achievements in space were more than just milestones. They were symbolic trophies of national prestige. During the late 1950s, with tensions at an all-time high, the Soviet Union and the United States both recognized a critical truth. Whoever ruled the skies would command global respect and fear. Yet while competition was fierce, the Soviet motivation wasn't purely political. There was also a deep-seated scientific drive, an earnest curiosity to stretch the boundaries of technology and knowledge. The Soviets believed that by conquering the toughest corners of our solar system, they could prove their own limitless ingenuity. Hence, Venus, once called Earth's sister planet, became the ultimate prize. At the forefront of this effort stood Sergei Korolev, the chief architect of the Soviet space program. His devotion to rocket science bordered on legendary, and his skill transformed the Soviet Union into a major cosmic contender. It was his leadership that launched Sputnik 1 in 1957, thrusting the entire world into a new era as that tiny, beeping metal sphere became the first artificial satellite to circle Earth. Korolev's success was backed by the engineering prowess of Valentin Glushko, a rocket designer whose brilliance powered many Soviet missions. Together, they orchestrated feats that were at once audacious and inspiring, sending Yuri Gagarin into orbit as the world's first human in space, achieving the first walk in outer space, and eventually laying the foundation for the Soviet Union's leap to Venus. But what does this all have to do with Elon Musk's greatest reveal yet? How did the seeds planted by Korolev and Glushko lead to baffling evidence hidden for years? The answer unfolds as we approach the Soviet Union's single-minded drive to conquer the hellish surface of Venus. In the wake of Sputnik, which transmitted its iconic beeping signal while orbiting the Earth, the Soviet Union basked in global admiration and fear. The communists had proved they could reach beyond Earth's boundaries, a notion that shook the Western world to its core. Through tireless scientific fervor, the Soviets then catapulted Yuri Gagarin to fame, cementing humanity's place among the stars in 1961. Yet the Soviet Union wasn't content with earthly orbits. They looked further across the solar system, and Venus beckoned. Shrouded in thick toxic clouds and scorched by intense heat, the planet was more unforgiving than any other destination considered at the time. If they could land on such a lethal world, the Soviets would claim the ultimate triumph in the cosmic arena. Amid these ambitions, the stage was being set for a string of missions called Venera. Over many years, a succession of probes, each more advanced than the last, ventured to the second planet from the Sun. But even after the Soviets' official public program concluded, classified data allegedly lived on in the shadows. And it is this hidden trove that Musk appears to have recently tapped into, sparking controversy and newfound wonder. The first wave of probes to Venus, like Venera 1 and Venera 2, didn't fully succeed in their mission objectives. Communication breakdowns and the punishing environment of space foiled Soviet hopes of obtaining a clear look at the Venusian realm. Each failure prompted them to rework designs and revisit their approach, eventually resulting in more robust spacecraft. Such repeated failures might have made any nation question the practicality of continuing with so dangerous a venture. After all, Venus isn't just a hot planet. It's a furnace that can melt lead, cloaked by clouds of sulfuric acid. And the deeper each probe descended, the more they realized how extreme its conditions truly were. Still, the Soviets refused to abandon their cosmic quest. Mission after mission was launched, each time applying the lessons learned from the previous. This incremental approach in rocket engineering reflected not just tenacity, but a nearly obsessive determination to conquer what many deemed impossible. The breakthrough came with Venera 3 in 1965, a craft that actually crashed onto Venus, becoming the first human-made object to make contact with another planet's surface. Though it lost signal on the way down, the mission taught Soviet engineers how to brace a probe against the horrors of Venusian descent. Then came Venera 4, an orbiter-lander combo that successfully transmitted data back to Earth from within Venus's poisonous atmosphere. Although it too eventually succumbed, the probe provided crucial facts about the thick carbon dioxide environment, proving that thorough scientific study of our twin planet was within reach, even if survival on the surface wasn't yet feasible. But the Soviets refused to believe that landing safely and functioning for a prolonged period on Venus was impossible. Their next designs grew stronger, outfitted with heavier insulation and redesigned cooling systems to delay the inevitable meltdown caused by the planet's scorching heat. This effort culminated in Venera 7, launched in 1970, which became the first spacecraft to transmit data after a soft landing on Venus. Although it survived for mere minutes, it proved the planet could be touched, if only briefly. Encouraged, the Soviets pressed on. Venera 8 managed to stay operational for over an hour, relaying temperature, pressure, and light level readings. Venera 9 and 10 in 1975 returned the first fuzzy images of the surface, unveiling a barren environment filled with rock and dust. The real gems, Venera 13 and 14, captured panoramic photos of a terrain reminiscent of a scorched desert. For a while, it seemed the Soviets were unstoppable. Each success was a testament to their relentless pursuit of knowledge and to the extraordinary mind behind these missions. Yet, with the abrupt end of the Soviet Union decades later, much of this valuable data became out of reach, locked in the labyrinth of classified archives. Now, Elon Musk claims to have pulled a jaw-dropping piece of that puzzle from historical obscurity. According to him, something was discovered on Venus that the world was never meant to see. By the late 1980s, the Venera program essentially wound down. Officially, the Soviets moved on to other endeavors, including planning for Mars probes and orbiting space stations like Mir. Some speculated that the grueling costs of repeated Venus missions were unsustainable. Others whispered about sightings of strange anomalies in captured images, unexplained phenomena that nobody could properly identify. Although official statements pinned the program's conclusion on budgetary constraints, rumors persisted about more enigmatic factors. If the Soviets had indeed encountered something that challenged their worldview, or something so unbelievable that it could not be publicly disclosed, would they have quietly shelved the entire project to maintain secrecy? For years, historians, space enthusiasts, and conspiracy theorists speculated about lost or withheld photographs from the later Venera missions. Rumors told of bizarre surface images, faint metallic glints in the background, or even shapes that seemed artificial, but no conclusive proof ever emerged. Those rumors found new life when Elon Musk insinuated that he possessed sensitive, previously unpublished material from Soviet archives. Before these leaks, very few believed that if anything shocking had been discovered, it would have remained hidden for so long. Musk's claims point to a fundamental revelation so critical, the Soviets deemed it best kept under lock and key. In a dramatic social media post that took the scientific community by storm, Elon Musk declared, "I've come across extraordinary documents from a forgotten Soviet mission to Venus. Photos, data, something you'd never believe was on that scorched surface. It's time the world knows." Suddenly, the phrase "what if" became the question on every curious mind. What relic of advanced technology could have been found on such a toxic planet? Could it be an alien craft, ancient remnants of an advanced civilization, or something else entirely? Musk's cryptic promise sparked a global wave of anticipation. Were these mere publicity stunts by the tech mogul, or was there real, verifiable evidence behind his claims? That's the cliffhanger overshadowing the reawakening of interest in Soviet Venus missions, an interest that had long been dormant. Across the internet and in scientific forums worldwide, the debate lit up. Skeptics argue that it's impossible any advanced technology was found on Venus without leaving more historical traces. Optimists suggest that the Soviets, fixated on beating the US in every arena, might have withheld shocking truths to avoid mass hysteria or global scrutiny. Visionaries wonder if the next generation of explorers, private companies like SpaceX, will send missions to confirm or deny these claims, forging an unprecedented collaborative expedition to retrieve any suspicious artifacts. The moment Elon Musk teased that he had never before seen Soviet Venus photos, the global scientific community went into overdrive. Experts in planetary science, UFO enthusiasts, and historians alike braced themselves for an extraordinary peek behind the Iron Curtain. Speculation ran rampant. Did the Soviets find metallic structures embedded in the Venusian rock? Were there mysterious patterns that couldn't be explained by ordinary geology? When the first few images finally filtered out, they were grainy, yet undeniably fascinating. Blurred but distinct shapes loomed in the background of the otherwise barren Venusian horizon. At a glance, it looked like twisted metal, unnatural lines and contours that appeared drastically different from the rocky foreground. Even more puzzling were smaller, scattered fragments that seemed to reflect light in ways that no ordinary stone on Venus should. Immediately, the images triggered a firestorm of interpretations. Some argued the shapes were simply the Venera landers themselves, pieces of hardware jettisoned during descent. Others noted that the arrangement and apparent consistency of these shapes didn't match any known parts of the landers. Could there have been a second man-made object on Venus, something the Soviets never publicly admitted existed? Or more astonishingly, could these images capture signs of a non-human presence? Predictably, as soon as the photos reached public eyes, established scientists demanded rigorous analysis. Planetary geologists emphasized how unusual metallic reflections could appear on Venus due to extreme pressure and heat. They pointed out that camera artifacts or damage to the camera lens might create misleading glints or streaks. But these rational explanations did little to quell the excitement swirling around Elon Musk's revelations. Even prominent astrophysicists, typically the most skeptical audience, admitted that if the photos were authentic, they posed intriguing questions. Venus has long been believed to be utterly inhospitable, a swirling inferno under crushing atmospheric pressure. Spotting manufactured metal there seemed impossible unless there had been either multiple landers from a secret or forgotten Soviet mission that ended disastrously, strewing wreckage across the surface, or a phenomenon of unknown origin, hinting at something entirely outside conventional Earth-based technology. This uncertainty only fueled the debate. Some ventured that the objects could be natural volcanic formations that bizarrely resemble metal scraps. Others suggested the Soviets themselves had tampered with the images to cover up technical failures, inadvertently creating illusions of artifacts. But the swirling rumors refused to settle because Musk remained confident that the photos showed something truly out of place, and he hinted there was more than just images to come. As the international community clamored for answers, one voice remained conspicuously quiet: the current Russian space agency, Roscosmos. Historically, Roscosmos has been quick to celebrate Soviet-era achievements. Yet, on this matter, they gave only brief, generic statements, maintaining that all significant Venera data had been released in the past. Their minimal response was far from the resounding denial one might expect if these images were outright fabrications. For many, this silence was the loudest confirmation that something peculiar did, in fact, exist. Observers recalled the secretive nature of the Soviet Union, wherein entire missions were sometimes glossed over if they ended in failure, or if they led to startling discoveries that might shake societal or scientific convictions. If an unsettling finding had been stashed away for decades, it would not be surprising that Russia's modern successors were reluctant to reopen that hidden history. Meanwhile, documents alleging to be old Soviet mission reports popped up on obscure forums and social media platforms. Often unverified, blurred, or partially translated. Some described anomalies during final descent telemetry, abrupt data spikes in magnetic readings, or temperature anomalies inconsistent with the known patterns of Venus's environment. The general public was left with an explosion of confusion, captivated by the possibility of a massive Soviet cover-up yet desperate for official corroboration. On closer inspection, what made the images from Musk's leak particularly stunning were the details of these so-called artifacts. The apparent polished edges, the geometry suggesting a planned design, and the angles that looked suspiciously regular. None of these features aligned with the random shapes of a broken space probe. If the anomalies were indeed pieces of a lander, they seemed curiously well aligned, as though positioned deliberately. Then came the claims of chemical analysis. In certain mission archives, the Soviets documented that instrumentation on the landers did pick up traces of metallic composition, unexpected in Venusian surface geology. Could that data correspond to the strange images now being circulated? If so, the objects might not only have an artificial origin, but also a composition outside the typical alloys used in Soviet spacecraft construction. Coupled with speculation that the Soviet Union had run advanced spectroscopy on the surface samples of Venus, these revelations suggested the Soviets found something truly baffling. Were they alien objects that crashed on Venus eons ago? Or were they vestiges of a secret Soviet program so advanced that the government felt it necessary to hide its remains? News outlets worldwide seized on the story. The possibility of advanced or non-human technology on Venus overshadowed everyday headlines, igniting a global debate that spanned from dinner tables to academic panels. A swirl of podcasts, documentaries, and online videos dissected every grain of evidence, fueling wild theories about alien visitors, hidden bases, or even ancient civilizations that could have hopped between planets in our solar system. Public fascination soared. Venus, once overshadowed by the more fashionable target of Mars, now exploded into the public imagination as the ultimate cosmic riddle. Why would we focus on potential ancient water flows on the red planet if there might be actual metallic artifacts on the blazing surface of our sister planet? Amid the speculation, many demanded NASA and Roscosmos unite for a conclusive follow-up mission, urging a modern lander equipped with next-generation cameras and robotic arms to revisit the precise site from the leaked photos. If the Soviets really left behind an unexplained relic, perhaps new explorers could unravel the truth once and for all. But such a mission would be among the boldest undertakings in the solar system, requiring robust technology to survive the Venusian conditions. The feasibility and funding for such a venture were far from guaranteed. A critical question echoed through every corner of the scientific and geopolitical community. Why hide something so monumental? Many historians pointed out that the Soviet government, at the height of its power, might have considered some discoveries too destabilizing to share, particularly if they contradicted deeply held ideological or scientific doctrines. Others suggested it was simple Cold War logic. Maintaining strategic advantage and controlling the narrative was paramount. Moreover, if the discovery hinted at advanced technology or artifacts from a civilization more sophisticated than humanity's, it could have plunged the Soviets into confusion. Admitting that humanity wasn't alone, or that another species could surpass us technologically, ran counter to the propaganda of national might and supremacy. Thus, the easiest solution might have been to classify the findings indefinitely. The Soviet Union wasn't a monolith. It consisted of competing bureaucratic factions. Space success brought glory and funding, but spectacular failures could bring shame and political downfall. Certain missions were hastily launched to keep pace with the US in the space race, resulting in under-tested hardware. When failures occurred, the reflex often involved covering them up, minimizing public embarrassment. If a late Venera mission uncovered something world-shaking, metal scraps that didn't belong to Soviet technology, nobody wanted to be the official who mishandled the disclosure. The potential for backlash or misinterpretation could be staggering. Rumors abound that high-ranking officials and top scientists locked the data away, preferring the safe route to maintain the Soviet Union's image of unquestioned space leadership. Some theories suggest the KGB took an active interest in the Venus missions. Historically, the KGB had extensive authority over any matter that could influence national security or prestige. If the space program captured evidence that could be interpreted as extraterrestrial, it would have fallen directly under the KGB's domain of secrecy. They might have confiscated or destroyed data to prevent a global uproar. Conversely, they might have stashed it in top-secret vaults, hoping to re-examine it if technological breakthroughs emerged down the line. Furthermore, the idea that future Soviet space initiatives might exploit the discovery for an intelligence or technological leap can't be dismissed. If these metallic scraps hinted at advanced design or composition, dissecting them in secret labs might have yielded leaps in material science, reverse engineering techniques, or rocket propulsion knowledge. None of this is confirmed by official records, but it remains plausible enough to fuel the swirling conspiracies. The Soviets had allies in Eastern Europe and partnerships with communist or sympathetic states worldwide. If they disclosed the existence of potential extraterrestrial findings, it could have sparked either panic or a scramble among these nations to demand a share of the knowledge. Conversely, the West, particularly the United States, might have aggressively sought infiltration or espionage to acquire the precious intel. In an era defined by nuclear brinkmanship, revealing an unearthly find carried immense risks. Could knowledge of alien technology or advanced civilizations be used as a bargaining chip in Cold War negotiations? The Soviets might have calculated that keeping these details under wraps was safer than opening the Pandora's box of international intrigue. In the midst of this chaos, Elon Musk's role is more than just an accidental leaker. His bold stance on private space exploration has always centered on the idea that progress should belong to all humanity, not be locked away behind government gates. By releasing the alleged Soviet photographs, Musk effectively shattered a wall of secrecy, catalyzing renewed interest in the often overlooked planet. His determination to make space travel affordable and to push humanity toward becoming a multi-planetary species grants him the perfect platform to spotlight the hidden secrets of our cosmic backyard. Venus, once deemed unworthy of human presence, might now rise in priority thanks to this sensational possibility of an ancient or unknown presence on its scorching surface. Behind the scenes, observers wonder if Musk aims to press NASA or other space agencies for a collaborative Venus mission. After all, NASA has long discussed conceptual missions like a Venus airship or a high-tech lander capable of withstanding the planet's searing environment. Yet these plans never materialized with the same urgency as the ongoing push to explore Mars. Now, with the public riveted by the thought of potential artifacts on Venus, the impetus to invest in a major mission grows stronger. If Musk and SpaceX can demonstrate a new, robust lander technology designed to survive Venus's extreme conditions, it might pave the way for a historic expedition that merges public, private, and international efforts. Curiosity, once awakened, is an unstoppable force, and the more the public demands answers, the more likely such a mission becomes. Of course, setting foot, or a rover, on Venus again isn't a trivial pursuit. A modern Venus lander must withstand temperatures exceeding 800 degrees Fahrenheit and atmospheric pressures nearly 90 times that of Earth. Cameras, electronics, and sampling instruments must be built from materials that do not melt or degrade. Power sources and communication systems must be engineered to function for more than the short windows achieved by the Soviet craft. Still, Musk's championing of advanced materials and his proven track record of reusability in rocket technology might accelerate breakthroughs. The stakes are higher than ever. The potential for verifying the existence of artificially made structures, or at least investigating the bizarre metal forms glimpsed in the leaked photos, could spark a new renaissance of interplanetary exploration. Elon Musk's revelations weren't limited to photos alone. Cryptic references on social media and brief mentions in interviews suggest he possesses additional data streams, perhaps old Soviet telemetry logs or even ground-penetrating radar readouts that have never seen daylight. He has hinted that the images released so far are just the tip of the iceberg. If more conclusive evidence of artificial metal surfaces emerges from these additional data sets, it might fundamentally shift how scientists view life's potential to exist, or have once existed, within our solar system. Even if no living organisms could endure Venus's brutal climate today, might it have been more hospitable in the ancient past? And if so, did a different civilization leave behind these puzzling scraps before the planet morphed into its current hellscape? Such questions, once purely speculative, now loom on the threshold of serious scientific inquiry. Musk's slow tease of further proofs keeps the public enthralled, ensuring that interest in a Venus return mission remains ablaze. For the first time in decades, humanity eyes the planet not just as a scorching realm of acid clouds, but as a place where our cosmic story might hold astounding new chapters. With every leaked image or detail, online communities explode in spirited debate. The possibility of real, tangible evidence of either a hidden Soviet agenda or an ancient, otherworldly visitor is so riveting that mainstream media can't ignore it. Comprehensive documentaries start cropping up on streaming platforms, analyzing every nuance of the Soviet Venus missions. The story transforms from a niche historical footnote into an international sensation. Ordinary people who once felt distant from celestial science begin discussing the temperature thresholds of electronics, the complexities of pressure vessels, and the intricacies of carbon dioxide-laden atmospheres. Musk's unmasking of the hidden Venus files is an incredible demonstration of how a single revelation can ignite a widespread hunger for knowledge. Students and hobbyists scour old academic papers on Soviet technology, forming grassroots discussion groups dedicated to unearthing the final truth about these metallic shapes on Venus. Suddenly, NASA, the European Space Agency, and even smaller agencies like the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, face renewed calls to accelerate their own Venus probes. Government panels discuss the feasibility of an orbital mission equipped with advanced radars that could locate any artificial anomalies on the planet's surface. Among private companies, SpaceX's Starship stands as the most ambitious candidate for a multi-purpose mission that might combine a Venus flyby, an orbiter, and a short-lived lander. Yet formidable challenges remain. Designing a lander that can communicate effectively from under the thick Venetian clouds and ensuring it can survive even a brief reconnaissance on the searing terrain. As the world hunts for the next step, the historical fabric of the Soviet space program comes under renewed scrutiny. Scholars once focused on the brilliance of Sergei Korolev or the achievements of Valentina Tereshkova now pore through old design schematics and engineering logs, searching for traces of an unpublicized extension to the Venera project. Did the Soviets secretly launch a final, more sophisticated probe that was never announced? Is that the source of these bizarre metal remnants? A wave of newly translated documents emerges, fueling hope that clues might still be in Russian archives. Private researchers, retired Soviet engineers, and younger scientists converge on the question, which mission specifically took these images? And if the official record stops at Venera 16 in 1983, how could so many new images and datasets exist? Finally, piecing together half-finished stories, scattered logs, and partial confirmations, many experts converge on a theory. The Soviets might have launched a clandestine extension of the Venera program, a mission that never saw public light due to either catastrophic failure or extremely sensitive discoveries. Whether the cover-up was motivated by politics, fear of public hysteria, or the potential for technological exploitation is still anyone's guess. Yet the more these puzzle pieces click into place, the more plausible the scenario becomes. Musk's leak might merely scratch the surface of what was truly uncovered. Perhaps entire sets of high-resolution images and advanced measurements lurk somewhere in forgotten Soviet bunkers, waiting to come to light. If so, the planet Venus could hold more secrets than we ever imagined. And the gatekeeper of that hidden knowledge could be none other than the modern Russian Federation, bound by layers of Soviet-era classification. As fresh waves of intrigue roll through scientific circles, an ancillary theory gains traction. Maybe Venus itself was not always the molten nightmare we see today. Some experts believe Venus once had oceans and milder climates, billions of years ago before a runaway greenhouse effect turned it into a furnace. If an ancient civilization had visited during that period, they might have left technological leftovers that still rest on or beneath the planet's transformed surface. Alternatively, even if the scorching conditions have persisted for millennia, a profoundly advanced species might have engineered specialized materials capable of resisting the planet's extremes. The notion that a truly alien design could outlast the Venera probes intrigues metallurgists and chemists who wonder whether clues in these scraps might revolutionize Earth-bound technology. Did the Soviets test those scraps and glean insights we've yet to discover? Inevitably, some argue that we are tiptoeing into science fiction. They maintain it's more likely that the mysterious metal shards are simply part of a Soviet spacecraft, or illusions caused by the interplay of lighting, camera damage, and Venusian terrain. The only truly definitive way to disprove or confirm these claims is to return to the planet with modern instrumentation. But the extraordinary nature of the leaked photos keeps a portion of the public firmly convinced that the Soviets uncovered something that defies easy explanation. Elon Musk's posturing only heightens these beliefs, as he repeatedly hints that the best is yet to come, that there are additional images, even fragments of data logs capturing anomalous readings that might indicate active processes on the planet's surface. A new alignment of interests is forming. NASA, the ESA, and private corporations like SpaceX are under unprecedented public pressure to tackle a mission that could resolve one of the greatest enigmas in recent memory. Some conceptual mission outlines propose launching a robust rover, nicknamed the Venus Explorer, armed with advanced cooling systems and shielded electronics that might function for weeks rather than minutes in the severe Venusian atmosphere. The rover's top priority? Locate the exact coordinates featured in the leaked photos, conduct a thorough site survey, gather physical samples, and beam the results back to Earth for final verification. If these items are indeed remnants of a lost civilization, or even just previously undisclosed Soviet tech, the discovery would be revolutionary. It would mean not only rewriting textbooks on planetary exploration, but also exploring deeper questions about cosmic or human heritage. If alien in origin, the world would face the first hard evidence that we are not alone. If Soviet in origin, it would reveal the incredible lengths the USSR went to protect space secrets and the complexities behind historical failures in their official Venus timeline. Ultimately, the real significance of Musk's leaks is how they reignited humanity's passion for the unknown. The fervor around these alleged Soviet findings represents more than just curiosity about bizarre photographs. It symbolizes an innate drive in every human heart to push past boundaries and illuminate what's hidden. Venus was practically written off by mainstream culture, until Elon Musk's sensational claims gave us a fresh reason to wonder. With Elon Musk's revelations sending shockwaves through the scientific community, the idea of returning to Venus has transformed from a modest ambition into a monumental priority. Countless proposals flood in. Orbiters, aerial drones, long-lived landers, each one more daring than the last. Leading these efforts is a coalition of NASA scientists, private space companies, and international researchers, all galvanized by burning curiosity over the leaked photos and the possibility of artificial structures on the planet. But exploration of Venus isn't for the faint of heart. The surface pressure is akin to being under nearly 3,000 feet of water on Earth, and temperatures soar above 800 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a place where electronics can fail in minutes, metals warp, and typical machinery collapses under unrelenting stress. This means any mission to revisit the alleged artifact sites would require radical new engineering. Among the more exciting ideas is a conceptual craft nicknamed Furnace Hopper. Designed to operate on the planet's surface for several days, an eternity by Venus landing standards, this lander would rely on exotic cooling systems and pressure vessels made from cutting-edge materials. Plans include a miniaturized excavation arm to dig through the soil and retrieve metallic fragments for immediate chemical analysis. Equipped with high-resolution cameras, Furnace Hopper would beam back real-time images of the rumored artifact sites that the Soviets once documented but never made public. Alongside landers, scientists propose balloon-based or Cloud City missions. By hovering in the dense atmosphere, these craft could survive longer, collecting in-situ data without succumbing to the oven-like surface. Should they find signs of unusual metal from above, by scanning, photographing, or dropping specialized probes, it would confirm or disprove the existence of mysterious debris. The sheer range of ideas underscores the collective hunger to solve the riddle Elon Musk has ignited. Developing the technology for a robust Venus lander is no small feat. One approach is to build on the Soviet legacy, analyzing old Venera engineering to see how those probes managed to function for even a brief window. By combining that historical ingenuity with modern materials science, like ceramic circuit boards and advanced heat-resistant alloys, research teams hope to craft a lander that can stay operational for weeks instead of hours. Major breakthroughs in cooling systems are particularly crucial. Advanced radiators and phase change materials could help keep critical electronics from frying in the relentless heat. Some propose a sealed environment cooled by internal chemical reactions, constantly cycling to keep instruments safe. Still, every idea must contend with an atmosphere so corrosive it can eat away at conventional metals. It's a tightrope walk between innovation and the brutal reality of Venus's environment. What once seemed a pie-in-the-sky dream is suddenly a central focus for governments and commercial partners. Space agencies vie for funding, each wanting to take the lead in what could become the most high-profile discovery in modern history. NASA sets up new committees to assess the feasibility of a near-future Venus mission. The European Space Agency revisits old concepts like Envision, an orbiter designed for mapping and atmospheric studies. Even smaller agencies in Japan and India show renewed interest, hoping to collaborate and claim a piece of history. For the first time since the 1980s, a chorus of scientists from every corner of the globe echoed the same refrain: we must return to Venus. Elon Musk's leaked data, combined with a wave of public excitement, has made the planet the central puzzle that humanity yearns to solve. Suddenly, exploring this yellowish, sizzling world doesn't just seem feasible, it feels urgent. Should the rumored metal debris indeed be extraterrestrial, the implications would be nothing short of earth-shaking. Imagine an artifact that predates modern civilization, perhaps even predates human civilization itself, lying quietly on a planet we deemed too hostile for life. The philosophical and scientific ramifications would ripple across society, rewriting our beliefs about our place in the cosmos. Such a revelation could answer one of humanity's oldest questions: are we alone? Even if the visitors were simply robotic probes from an alien race, that discovery would confirm that other intelligent beings overcame interstellar distances to plant their machines on Venus. More profoundly, if evidence emerged that an advanced civilization once flourished in our solar system, billions of years before Earth's earliest societies, our entire story of cosmic evolution might need to be overhauled. Beyond the immediate shock, discovering alien-made objects on Venus would unite humanity in a shared sense of wonder. For decades, ideological and political differences have fractured global cooperation. An undeniable extraterrestrial artifact could become a catalyst for forging alliances beyond petty disputes. Scientists, diplomats, and world leaders might unite for the same reason: to understand how and why other beings reached our solar system. Such a moment could mirror the effect of the famous pale blue dot image, only magnified tenfold. People might finally see Earth as a tiny, fragile sphere in a grand cosmic sea, catalyzing an age of renewed camaraderie. Funding for space missions would skyrocket. A new generation of students would flood STEM fields, drawn by the magnetism of genuine cosmic discovery. The intangible effect on human culture could be even more powerful than the science itself. From a practical standpoint, obtaining actual samples of advanced metal or devices from Venus could trigger a technological revolution. If alien craftsmanship demonstrates exotic materials or novel engineering principles, heat shielding, anti-corrosion layers, or power systems that outstrip our best efforts, humanity could glean centuries' worth of progress in a fraction of the time. Conversely, even if the artifacts turned out to be advanced Soviet devices using early prototypes of never-revealed technology, it would still expand our knowledge significantly. There might be hidden rocket propulsion methods or heat-resistant alloys lost when the Soviet Union collapsed. Rediscovering such lost wonders could accelerate present-day space travel. If nothing else, it would highlight how close we came to missing a golden era of human innovation. Of course, finding proof of unknown technology raises numerous ethical and security concerns. Governments would likely scramble to control or weaponize it, prompting calls for international oversight. Should the technology prove too advanced for our current moral frameworks, we could face risks of misuse or black market exploitation. And if the debris belonged to a civilization that still exists somewhere, we must grapple with the question: do we really want to attract their attention? Across centuries, human stories are rife with cautionary tales about unprepared cultures colliding with more advanced societies. If contact with an alien or lost civilization is possible, We must approach it with humility and caution, ensuring that the thirst for knowledge doesn't blind us to potential consequences. For years, Mars dominated Elon Musk's imagination, with SpaceX focusing on rockets capable of colonizing the red planet. But the leaked Venus data triggers an unexpected pivot. While Mars remains a primary target for human settlement, Venus is suddenly the wild card. Even if humans can't easily walk the Venusian surface without near-impossible technology, the planet's upper atmosphere might be more hospitable. Pressure and temperature levels at certain altitudes are surprisingly Earth-like. Musk, ever the entrepreneur, sees potential synergy. Set up orbital stations around Venus, gleaning resources to study or mine these artifacts, while continuing to refine the spacecraft that will take settlers to Mars. Instead of focusing on a single planet, we might be witnessing the birth of a dual-planet strategy, where missions to Venus and Mars occur concurrently, supporting each other with resources, data, and engineering breakthroughs. As the concept of a second cosmic frontier looms, a foundational step emerges: building robust cislunar infrastructure, space stations, resource hubs, and fueling depots near Earth and the Moon. This network becomes a springboard for missions to both Mars and Venus. Launch vehicles, including Starship, can refuel in Earth orbit or near the Moon, cutting costs and enabling heavier payloads. From an economic standpoint, such infrastructure paves the way for a true interplanetary civilization. Tourists, scientists, and entrepreneurs might rotate between lunar facilities and deep space voyages. Mining asteroids for rare metals becomes a feasible avenue for funding. In the midst of this swirling cosmic commerce, a carefully orchestrated Venus rendezvous emerges as one of the most prestigious missions, an expedition aimed specifically at retrieving artifacts or verifying their existence once and for all. SpaceX isn't alone in forging new roads. Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, and upstart companies around the globe watch the Venus story with wide-eyed intrigue. Joint ventures could lead to fleets of unmanned probes, some to sniff out potential resource pockets, others to examine the artifact region Musk publicized. Partnerships formed to handle communication challenges deep in the Venusian atmosphere might create robust interplanetary data relay networks also useful for Mars. Meanwhile, specialized laboratories are begun on Earth to design hot labs, test chambers simulating Venus-like pressure and temperatures. Engineers scurry to create electronics that run on mechanical computation or super high-temperature semiconductors. If they succeed, the technology leaps might enable not just sustained operations on Venus, but also deeper expeditions to Mercury or Jupiter's radiation-baked moons. A new era of extraordinary engineering could unfold, with solutions once considered purely theoretical now demanded by immediate necessity. Elon Musk, never shy of setting bold timelines, lays out a potential timeline stretching to 2050 and beyond. Late 2020. Launch specialized orbiters around Venus to locate exact artifact sites. Early 2030s. Deploy a next-gen lander with robust cooling systems, capturing the first high-definition footage of suspected debris. Mid-2030s. Commence sample return missions, retrieving chunks of the alleged artifacts to Earth-based labs. 2040s and 2050s. Expand permanent infrastructure around Venus, orbital platforms, possibly floating bases, to systematically explore the planet's mysteries. In parallel, colonization efforts on Mars continue, with incremental waves of settlers building habitats on the Martian surface. By the 2050s, if Musk's grand plan succeeds, humans could be a bona fide interplanetary species with scientific outposts around two worlds. And if these new frontiers unearth more hidden secrets, our understanding of life's cosmic tapestry may evolve in ways we can scarcely imagine today. In a world often divided by politics and conflict, the shock and awe of a Venusian artifact serve as a uniting spark. Humans across continents rally around the notion that we share a collective destiny in space. Schoolchildren pen essays on life beyond Earth. Entrepreneurs plot new commercial applications to support cosmic ventures. And philanthropic organizations redirect funds toward the next generation of planetary explorers. The excitement recalls the fervor of the Apollo era when each new mission captured the hearts of billions. But unlike Apollo, isolated to a single nation, this new quest aims to be globally inclusive. Countries big and small, private enterprises large and modest, all sense a once-in-a-lifetime chance to rewrite history. The revelation about Venus stirs more than science. It reverberates through art, music, film, and literature. Creative minds try to interpret what it means to discover evidence of possible ancient visitors, or at the very least, a top-secret Soviet relic left on another planet. Science fiction morphs into something less fictional and more visionary. Dreamers spin tales of epic civilizations, forging alliances with ancient humans, or cosmic explorers drifting across galaxies, only to leave remnants on Earth's blazing neighbor. What emerges is a cultural renaissance akin to the 1960s space race era, but broader in scope. Just as society once sang of rockets, moon landings, and star-bound futures, humanity now composes symphonies and writes novels about the potential wonders or warnings hidden under Venusian skies. In this environment, art and science merge, fueling mutual inspiration and weaving a powerful narrative that touches every human soul. Inevitably, with each new wave of data from Venus, fresh mysteries emerge. As missions map more of the planet's scorching surface, they discover geologic anomalies or hint at pockets that suggest volcanic activity far more recent than expected. Could volcanic processes have shaped or hidden more relics? Could the planet's cloud layers harbor strange microbial life after all? Even if the leaked artifacts turn out to be purely human-made, they might open yet another Pandora's box. Evidence of advanced Soviet experiments that surpass what any government has admitted. The drive to unravel hidden technologies from Earth's past would be every bit as exhilarating as unveiling potential alien crafts. In either case, Venus's forbidding atmosphere becomes a stage on which humankind squares off against the unknown and emerges both humbled and empowered. Decades from now, historians may designate Elon Musk's leaked Venus photos as the spark of a new cosmic age. They'll describe how the second planet from the Sun, once overshadowed by the red planet, suddenly captured the collective imagination of humankind. Perhaps they'll note how rival superpowers, commercial space moguls, and everyday people set aside differences, if only temporarily, to embark on a noble quest to learn the truth. And if these historians are writing their accounts from an orbital station above Venus, or from a settlement on Mars with a stable population of explorers, it will be because Musk's revelations shattered the complacency that limited our ambitions. His choice to share the hidden Soviet records might be remembered not just as a scandal or controversy, but as the final push that launched humanity toward a true interplanetary existence. In the grand tapestry of history, few events have carried the potential to reshape human destiny as profoundly as the one Elon Musk unleashed. The astonishing photos, revealing mysterious shards on Venus's scorching surface, confront us with uncomfortable yet exhilarating questions about science, secrecy, and life beyond Earth. For decades, the Soviet Venus program stood as a testament to humanity's tenacity. But only now, in light of Musk's leak, do we realize how close we came to a deeper, incredible cosmic truth. With a renewed fervor, engineers design craft to survive the planet's violent environment. Scientists salivate over the possibility of analyzing alien or top-secret Soviet technologies. Philosophers and futurists ponder our place in the cosmic drama. What once was a near-dead realm in public imagination is resurrected into the brightest gem of exploration, a sight so tantalizing that half the world stands ready to discover its secrets. Perhaps in the end, the real significance is not whether the metal scraps prove to be alien or merely relics of human ambition. It's that the unearthing of this hidden knowledge breathes life back into our innate wanderlust. It ignites imaginations, stirs technological leaps, and fosters cooperation in a manner rarely seen since the dawn of the space age. Venus, the scorching world once dismissed, now holds the promise of revelations that could redefine our story. And so, the journey continues, a collective epic that spans nations and generations. Will we solve the puzzle Musk exposed? Are we on the verge of discovering ancient cosmic neighbors, or unmasking the final secrets of Soviet ingenuity? Time alone will unveil the truth. Until then, the human spirit blazes forward, driven by awe, guided by curiosity, and bound by the ultimate frontier, the infinite sky above.